Welcome to Ike Comics Draw Process. I'll draw my comic book page today, and I'll process about my development as an artist and the techniques I'm using on the page. Page 6 of my comic First Sun and Sword today. You can read it on my website, and let's draw this page. Okay. Page 6. I'm just marking out my borders for the gutters, for the panel boundaries. Of course, I'm not working from a thumbnail. I just have the script, and the script is pretty basic at this point. I had typed up that she would, it relates to her story and Sun's, that she would kind of be a little cruel in the way that she tries to threaten him, pressure him to make sure he does a good job watching and taking care of Sword while she is gone getting medicine. I don't want to get into that because that'll slow down me processing in this video. But that's going to happen over 2 pages, so I kind of stretched it out by showing her gathering the weapons that she wants to use on her, and that she can hide on her person so that she can travel through town knowing that she's wanted. So I'm starting here with 3 panels, all equal in width, equal in size to each other. And the idea is she's going to reach under the bed, pull out the weapons, and then we'll see the weapons. She'll pull out like a rolled up blanket that's tied up, and she'll open it, and we'll see the weapons. I wasn't sure the design of her weapons. One thing you don't see is sometimes in this video, edit out a chunk of time, brief chunks, where I'm checking my phone, texting someone, whatever I got to do. And sometimes referencing prior pages. And this was a point where I was struggling with the design of her gear. Her quiver holds her staff, which breaks into pieces, and her bow breaks into pieces. And I wasn't quite sure how that was constructed. I had prior ideas, but I couldn't recall which I had had before, and this was the biggest close-up I'd ever had where all of her items were in it still. So I worked that out a few different ways, and then even had to use whiteout in the end to make an adjustment. And now I've got record of how these things are put in here that I can follow for next time. These are my roughs, my thumbnails. These are also sort of my I guess, like, creative development drawings, like development work, study work, in a way. So with this image here, showing all the weapons laid out, I was pretty sure of the layout I wanted for this, and I took some time on that image to detail out more. Now I'm going back and putting in word balloons here and making my attempt at what is going to be said. But these are the roughs, and so sometimes it's kind of just a stick figure, and sometimes it's more fleshed out depending on what I feel I need. And I'm using a 5H pencil so that I don't go into too much detail, and so that I can layer more pencil on top of it that'll be a darker pencil, a softer lead. And again, I'm just making an attempt at what I saw. I had her on the right side of the page here. She's strapping a sword to her thigh to hide under her garments. And then I changed that. I ended up reversing it here and having her on the right side. And I started off with where we only see her leg in a little bit of her figure in the shot with Sun behind her. And I adjust it some more and show more of her figure. This is the play of imagination with constructing the image. Something I've been wanting to do is when I'm going to sit and draw a page, I would like to take at least a solid minute, focus, and like meditate on the page. Think about what it is that I want it to look like. Just kind of visualize the page. And then start drawing. I think that would be a good practice to move towards mentalizing, I guess, like thinking about it, picturing it more before I start behaving, before I start, drawing. Once I start drawing, my pencil and my mind are kind of working together to find the composition and to find the construction of things. And sometimes that results in, well, it's definitely a different process than just thinking about it in your mind. Because once you're constructing the image and the pieces of it, you can get overly focused on small details, overly focused on the construction of it, and it sort of blocks you off. In some ways, it opens you up to ideas because you discover ideas when you do it, but it does kind of block you off from other ideas. You've kind of chosen a path, you're going down that path, and it's harder to see other ideas in the big picture. So just giving myself a moment to do that, so that it also has to do with being more intention in what I do. Like if I have a visual in my mind of what I want to do and then I do it on the page, then I'm attacking the page with a clear plan. I think that would be good. And it seems like a skill to learn, that it would just be something to practice doing so that I get better at it, at thinking of the page, picturing it in my mind before I draw. And it's something that I can do even if I can't draw a page. Even if I don't have the time to sit and draw a page at that moment, I could think of the page. Like on the drive home from somewhere, I can think of the page, or in the morning getting ready, and then come sit and do it eventually. For now, I think I need to sit in my chair, like in front of the blank page, and meditate on it. But over time, I could get better and better at that. It would be amazing to be able to picture even multiple pages in your head and then just draw them. And there's a limit to all of our working memory, our intelligence. Like there's a limit to that. But I'm sure none of us have reached that upper limit of what we're capable of there. I haven't reached that limit, and I'm not going to reach it by not trying. Like I should put a little thought into that, a little time into that, and develop more in that area. So that's something I've been thinking about lately. It would also help with just getting in a certain headspace, ready to draw. Yeah. So I noticed lately I have been cascading my word balloons. That I seem to be doing that lately. That if there's 3 panels in a row, the first word balloon will be up high, and they will kind of cascade down, or maybe kind of zigzag through. And I've been thinking of the word balloons. I may have mentioned this before. I'm sure I have, but I've been thinking of word balloons when it comes to the way the eye moves through, the reader's experience of their eye movement through the page. It's one thing to pay attention to your art and make sure that flows. It's another to make sure the word balloons do that. And it's an often overlooked piece because a lot of times artists are not the ones lettering it too. drawing the word balloons onto the page is partly, it saves time. I think it will look more natural because it'll match my art style better than a digital balloon. And it lets me very fully plan where to position them to get that better design. And it means I don't have to draw anything that's behind the balloons. So that's why I started that with this issue. So I've noticed the balloons, this round shape. If you think of it in the abstract, this round shape that presents on a page and will repeat through a page. There's an opportunity there for that to become a graphic element in itself. So I think maybe the default way of thinking here is the word balloon is necessary to get words on the page, and even an unfortunate necessity because it's going to get in the way of the art. I think some artists can have this view, and it might be kind of the natural starting point of how you would think about it. But the word balloon itself is a graphic element that repeats through the page. Not only does it have to do with how the eye can flow through the page, but it has a certain I don't even know how to say this, symbolic meaning, like especially like a more vertical. I've noticed in manga you'll often see a more the oval of the word balloon is more vertically long and less wide than it is in American comics. And that shape starts to be like a human head. It starts to be like a face, the vertical oval instead of a horizontal oval. Most Western comics, they have the horizontal oval because that's like how our language works. We have these lines of text and we want that direction. But that shape will end up filling the width of a panel up and not allow for flow from that balloon to that image of that panel, other than kind of vertical. You end up having to go word balloon at the top, art below it. And that horizontal oval is less attractive because I think, I sense it in myself, and I think it relates to some truth, that humans are attracted to faces, especially the pattern of two eyes and a mouth, like a triangle, an upside down triangle, let's say. Two dots on top, one on the bottom, forming a triangle, like an American electrical outlet often has that shape, which is very unfortunate because it'll attract infants to it. So we see faces in nature. We see that shape. We're attracted to it. I think in a way we're also attracted to that vertical oval. I sense that. I sense that would be true, and I feel it myself when I read or see art with those shapes. I'm more attracted to those shapes. So, you can arbitrarily use vertical ovals with lots of empty space in them, because it's quite possible that your lines of text are more horizontal and shorter. So it'd kind of be arbitrary to use a vertical balloon. But you could intentionally use it. I'm intentionally trying to go like squash my balloons a bit, get a little more circular, more round, a little more vertical if I can. And think of it like a shape that's like a face. So this attraction point. So if the eye goes to the balloon, and then from there it might go to the head or face of one of my characters, which is another sort of oval on the page. And it can go it can follow the sequence. The reader could visually follow a sequence through. You'll see here, like in the middle panel there, the word balloon is next to the character and it's a little bit up, but the eye is kind of guided by the art to that word balloon from the first panel, from the angle of Farah's body pointing to it, and where the kind of weight of the composition is with Farah and Sun towards the top right of the panel. They're well, especially Sun and Farah's head. It's kind of like weighted towards that point on the middle panel. That balloon is the first thing your eye goes to. It's not at the top of the panel with Farah down below it, where your eye has to go up and then straight down. It is to the right, slightly up to the balloon, and then to the right, slightly down to her head. And so if someone, some people will, I suspect they're going to go to the balloon, then to her head that's next to it. It's in a natural order instead of the balloon being above her head. And then they might follow her body down, look at the image of that panel. But if they're kind of reading mindlessly quickly, they'll just move to the next word balloon and to the next head. And they'll use like peripheral vision to like gather what's happening and read it quickly. Balloon, head, balloon, head, balloon, head, following a sequence in a way. I've noticed that when I read books, that's it's something I see more in manga again, but that is a nice way to flow through a book. And in a way, it doesn't even require panel borders to separate images, because it's basically groupings of images. You're looking at the balloon and then a head, and then a balloon and a head, and you're following. And if it's not a head, it's a full figure sometimes, obviously, but you're following that path through the page, rather than following the grid, following a panel border, like panels, boxes. Instead of thinking I'm going from box 1 to box 2 to box 3, you're going from word balloon to figure to word balloon to figure. This seems much more intuitive to me to think of it this way. It seems, I'm sure it depends on personal taste, but it seems more correct to me that intuitively a reader, an uninformed reader, or an uninstructed reader is not going to look at the box. They're not going to look at the panel borders and look at these boxes and follow them. They're going to go to the top left, and they're going to look at the image in the first box. They're going to follow that image to the next image, to the next image. And the panel borders, the panel boxes are going to be kind of invisible to them. Not the thing they're paying attention to guide them through. And to me, that's a better reading experience. It's like pay attention to the story, not something arbitrary like boxes. Down that path, I have been trying to get simpler and faster, because I'm thinking more about the reader's experience when they read my book, and less about my ego, less about, is this good? Am I drawing really well or not? Is this polished enough or not? Like, I almost don't care about that anymore. Is the story engaging, and can it, is it engaging, and are you following along? And quickly. I don't care if someone stops for a long time to enjoy my art. I want them to be able to just read along. So the way my art looks has never been less important to me than it feels now. It feels so unimportant. what it looks like, as long as it's readable and it gets the story across clearly, and provides the reading experience that I'm going for. And for me, a more simple reading experience is much more enjoyable. There's comics with lots of things going on in each panel, graphically, lots of texture and complexity and busyness, and lots of word balloons with lots of words and with a small font, where the eye has to move in more complicated paths to get through a page. That kind of stuff, those kind of books, I don't enjoy reading. I might still read them and check them out, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing art. Like, I'm digging this in a lot of ways. And I might even think the story is really engaging. The story, like the characters and the plot, that the plot is really engaging. But, and I'm not going to name names on books here, but the reading experience is not engaging. It's not good. The art may look amazing, the plot is good, and I would maybe even recommend the book. But it's taxing. It's not an enjoyable reading experience. Some of these things. So that's what I'm focused on most of all lately, is an enjoyable reading experience. If I add details to my book, are these details, are they really there to just enhance the reading experience, or are they not? Any little, lines I add or detail I add in the creases in this blanket that's unfurled, or the little texture lines or stitching on some fabric or something, is that adding, or hairs in the hair, or lines on the face? Are these adding information, adding richness to the reading experience, their experience of the world? Or is it superfluous? Is it unnecessary? That's where my head's at. And here is the finished page. Thank you for joining me through this series and through this page. Hope you got something out of it in your journey. I've got this color palette I'm sticking with through the book so far. That might change in the next scene to a variation of the same palette, because we're going to be going to a different location, a different time. Yeah, and that's it. There it is. Simple structured page. All right. Well, on to the next page and continuing my practice and sharing it here. And I hope good things for you in your practice. See you next time.